What's going on, you guys? It's Dragoon here, back again with another video, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a deck profile of a deck that I've been playing around with for a little while now, and that deck is Gustos. So this is the deck I was referring to in one of my more recent videos, the little secret deck that I've been playing around with, and so yeah, it's Gustos. I've been playing Gustos for a little while, but not near as long as some of the other things. I've always thought they were interesting, simply because they are all wind and a green color scheme. So naturally, I found them appealing because green is my favorite color. So the playstyle of the deck, however, is very different when compared to Heroes, which is my favorite deck. Gustos are a naturally passive and more defensive deck, unlike Heroes, which can be more aggressive. So learning this deck was I wouldn't call it a struggle, but I would say that it was definitely interesting because, like I said, it's just something that's so vastly different, but that's actually one of the things I love most about this deck. So let's just go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So first things up are the most important monsters of the deck, in my opinion, because it's kind of like the deck's backbone. If you don't draw any of these cards, you're probably going to lose. So we have 3 Augusto Goldos and 3 Augusto Eagle. Now these are the tuner monsters of the deck, the only tuner monsters you play actually, but they are super good in their own regards outside of just being a tuner monster. Now what you need to understand is the main defensive aspect of Gustos, if you're not familiar with the deck, is that everything in the deck, or roughly everything in the deck, will float. Therefore it will replace itself in some way, shape, or form upon either leaving the field or whenever it activates its effect on the field. So, Augusto Goldos, when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special a level 2 or lower Gusto monster from the deck. In Eagle, his effect is when he's destroyed by battle and sent to the grave, he can special a level 4 or lower non-tuner Gusto from the deck. So these can get you into very different cards out of your deck. Goldo can get Eagle, Eagle cannot get Goldo, but we have another card that will go with them, but I'll talk about that in just a minute. Now, what's important to consider is that these are both very good in their own rights. Now, Goldo, in a way, is the best, but I use that term lightly because what makes Goldo really good is all he has to do is be sent to the grave from the field in some way, shape, or form. It really doesn't matter all that much how he gets there. Eagle is a little more restrictive in the fact that he has to be destroyed by battle, but it doesn't matter because Eagle is actually the card that allows you to make your pushes. He's the one you usually want your opponent to attack last, so he can set you up for the next turn, and I'll explain that in a minute when I get into the non-tuners of the deck. Now, to go along with these guys, we have a total of 5 cards to get to them faster. We play 2 Winda, Priestess of Gusto. She is, in a way, she's the worst card in the deck, which is upsetting because I really do like Winda. Interestingly enough, the way I really got involved in this deck a long time ago, and I wasn't really playing the deck, I was just collecting the cards, was because of this card. Winda is like, I forget the exact lore behind it, but she is the sister to Wind the Wind Charmer. And when I was a kid, the Charmer cards were always one of my favorites. So that was like the whole reason I started collecting Gusto cards back when Hidden Arsenal 5 first came out. But anyway, Winda, the reason she is the worst is because she has to be destroyed by battle with an opponent's attacking monster. So she's considerably more restrictive than any other card in the deck. But whenever she is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, as I mentioned, she special summons a Gusto tuner monster from the deck, so she can get you any of these. So as you can see, you can loop here. You can have Goldo grab you Eagle, who can grab you Winda, who can grab you Goldo into Eagle or Winda. Like you can keep going in that exact chain, or Goldo can get Winda, who can get Eagle, who can get or she can get Goldo. So you can see you have variable plays depending on the order you want to go, and depending on what exactly you have left in the deck. So it's always something you have to consider. One thing I actually do like about the deck is a lot of the combos, unless you're very, very familiar with the deck, take a decent amount of thought to actually pull off. It's not something you can just go right for. You have to constantly consider different aspects, which I think is really fun, actually. So she's actually good, surprisingly, in the fact that she has 1,000 attack points. Virtually every monster in this deck is really small when it comes to attack, and I believe she has the second highest attack of any Gusto monster I play, so believe it or not, it does come in handy. So that is Winda. The next monster of the deck is 3 Kamui, Hope of Gusto. Now, Kamui is one of the best cards in the deck. He is a counterpart to Winda in the sense that his effect lets him special summon a Gusto tuner. However, he does not have to be destroyed anyway. His effect is a flip effect, so when he's flipped, he special summons a Gusto tuner from the deck. Now, what makes Kamui good? It's the fact that Gusto's main problem is the fact that all of these cards rely on your opponent to do something. They have to attack you. If your opponent's not attacking you, you can't get your plays off because you can't set up your graveyard and you can't dig for the right monsters out of your deck. Kamui helps evade that entirely. If your opponent knows what they're doing against Gustos, they'll usually stop attacking you. If you're playing Kamui, you can set him. Your opponent might think, oh, that's a Winda, or that's an Eagle or a Goldo, so I'm not going to attack it, and then my opponent can't set up. You flip up the Kamui, and it's almost like punishing the opponent because it allows you to plus. You flip Kamui up, he grabs a tuner, and you can instantly synchro summon. You can go for a 3 or a 5. Usually a 5 is better, but believe it or not, going for a 3 is not bad at all. Kamui is just a really fantastic card simply because he does allow the deck to be aggressive. One way I've described this deck is that it plays like a storm. Passive, aggressive, passive, aggressive. The deck needs to be able to turn on and off like that, just like a storm would. So that's what's really great about the deck. So it's one of my favorite things. So yeah, Kamui is just super good to be able to make those plays. And then I also play 2 Pitika, Descendant of Gusto. This is the new Gusto monster. Some people were surprised when I only played 2, but the way this card ended up working out is you never want to draw it. You want to be able to special summon it off of emergency teleport, because having it in your hand and having a lot of monsters in your hand in general is a problem with this deck. The deck naturally is forced to run a lot of monster cards because it needs to have enough cards in the deck to keep your defensive loop going. So with that being said, there's a decent chance that you're going to run into hands with lots of monster cards in them, and you don't want that to happen. You want to minimize that as much as you possibly can. And Pitika is not a good card to have multiples of in your hand, or to really have in your hand that much at all. Her effect is, it does activate on normal summon, but it also activates on special summon, which is what you rather want to do. Her effect, though, allows you to target one wind tuner monster, in your graveyard and special summon it in face-up defense mode. Its effects are negated, and if you activate that effect, you can only special wind monsters for the rest of the turn. You can only use Pitika's effect once per turn. So she allows you to make very fast Xyz or synchro plays, usually synchro, but we do play Xyz in the deck. So she gives the deck a power push, which is great. She allows the deck to be a little aggressive, which is great. But having her in your opening hand is very, very bad, because it's going to take you a solid turn or two before you set up your graveyard, and even then, you might not even need her yet. You might be able to still play the defensive game, and you don't need to make that push. So I thought about it, and I was like, which ones do I not want in the open hand? It's Pitika. I took her down to 2 because you can generally, like I said, you can put her back in the deck when you need her to be. I like to have 1 in the deck, 1 in the graveyard, usually. It just depends on what cards I have on me. But like I said, 2 works relatively just fine. You don't find yourself thinking, oh man, I'm all out of Pitikas. Usually, like I said, you can recycle her or get it to where you just don't need her at that point. So that is why I only play 2. I have a 3rd one on the side temporarily, just in case, since I haven't completed and finalized the side deck just yet. But so if you'd like, you can do the same thing, or maybe there's another card you'd like to take out. Be my guest and play 3 Pitika if you like. It's not awful, it's just, in my opinion, 2 is the better number. And then the last Gusto monster of the deck is also one of the best. It's Calm, Serenity of Gusto. Calm is super good because she allows you to just make big pluses, essentially. Calm's effect lets you return 2 Gustos from the graveyard into the deck and draw a card. So it's just provides a lot of good plays. Now, one thing I want to mention, as long as I have Calm out and Pitika right on hand, I guess I can put Kamui here too. So these are all of the cards you can get off of Eagle. This is important because Eagle, which it makes Eagle very versatile. Like I said, he makes the power plays. Eagle can special this from the deck during your opponent's turn, and then you can use another one on your turn the next. So it's really, really good. You usually never will go for this unless you're going for a certain type of play, which I will explain later. This I've already kind of talked about. And it sets up for Calm too, which is also super important because Calm allows you to, like I said, just get your stuff recycled. It's the biggest Gusto monster in the main deck. It sits at 1700 attack and 1100 defense. So, I don't know, Calm is just really good. She's one of my favorite monsters to have. You really don't want to draw into her too much, but for me, I didn't want to only play one because sometimes you can summon her and she'll get bottomless and you have no way to recycle her, and in my opinion, she is important enough that you always kind of want to have one floating around somewhere in which you can get access to it. So that is Calm. And the last monster of the deck is one Thunderking Ryo. Now, I put in Thunderking because the deck really doesn't have a normal summon. Most of the time you're setting in this deck or special summoning. You can sometimes normal summon this, but you usually will just get it off of Eagle. But I mean, outside of Calm and a normal summoning a Pitika, which like I mentioned you'd rather special, you don't have a normal summon in this deck. I found Thunderking to be one of the best monsters to give the deck a powerful normal summon and a strong 1-card field. The deck really, outside of 2 cards which aren't super duper integral to the deck, it does no searching whatsoever, so Thunderking's effect of not adding any cards from the deck to the hand except drawing them doesn't really hurt you. So, and then of course his other effect to negate an inherent special summon is always really good, so I found Thunderking to be a solid 1-card choice. And it came down to putting this card in the deck. I used to just side it, but then I decided I really wanted to main it. It came down to me either replacing 1 Pitika or 1 Kamui. And like I said, Kamui does give you that aspect to be aggressive, and so does Pitika. And I thought to myself, well, which one of these 2 cards do I want to have in my opening hand more often? And the choice was Kamui. So that's how Thunderking made his way in, and I really like playing him so far. And so the only card in the deck that Thunderking conflicts with is the 2 Pots of Duality. It's really not that big of a deal because depending on your matchup, you can just side the Pots of Duality out. I've done it multiple times, and even in the main, it's not an issue. I only play 2 because the deck does special summon a decent amount, so I didn't want to have too many dead dualities if I was trying to make a special or make some type of play that turn. And yeah, like I said, Thunderking just doesn't conflict with this. The odds of you having both of these and a Thunderking is not that high, and even so, you can usually just go duality, do what you need, and then summon Thunderking, and then just sit on this one until your opponent manages to get rid of him. So it really doesn't end up becoming that big of a deal, so that's part of duality. And then I play 2 Mystical Space Typhoon. Pretty obvious, just get rid of spells and traps when you need to. It's pretty important in this deck, especially when you're going for certain plays that I will talk about later, just to be able to stop what might get in the way. To go along with that, I play 1 Forbidden Lance, just more protection, and also you can do fun stuff in the damage step. And then I play 3 Emergency Teleport. It's one of the best cards in the deck. It's just a super good card all around. There's a reason this card used to be at 1, so thankfully it is at 3 now. You almost always want to summon the Pitika with this card because everything else is honestly not that great. If you're summoning something other than Pitika, you're probably not in a very good spot. So it essentially does give you 5 Pitikas though, which is pretty great, and basically it just makes the deck a lot faster. So this is one of the big reasons, like I mentioned, of only playing the 2 duality, because this card is a major conflict. And then I also play 2 Creature Swap, because a lot of the deck is very swappable when it comes to taking your opponent's cards. In the most recent tournament I played with this deck, my opponent was playing Evil Swarms, which is obviously not a good matchup for Augustos, considering we want to synchro summon a lot. So it ended up with me summoning an Eagle and activating Creature Swap, taking his Ophion, and just winning from there pretty much. He even tried to end up synchro summoning against me. I was like, you can't Ophion's effect. And it was really funny because I activated this and he goes, Chain Forbidden Duress. I'm like, you can't, it doesn't target. And he's just like, oh, okay. Chain Dark Illusion. I'm like, you can't, it doesn't target. So he clearly didn't understand how Creature Swap works. I had to burn out his Infestation though, so that was kind of a pain, but this really did end up winning me the duel. It was pretty great. So, just sat on Ophion all game. And then another important card in the deck is Contact with Gusto. I only play one of these because it's a card you really don't want to see in the beginning of the duel because you have to have the 2 Gusto monsters in the grave to activate it. So what it does is you select 2 Gusto monsters from your graveyard, add them to the deck, and then select one card your opponent controls and destroy it. So it's really good because it can be essentially your 3rd Mystical Space Typhoon if it needs to be, or it can just destroy a monster. It can get rid of whatever you need it to. And it does allow you to recycle. And what's great about this card is you can put your Synchros or your Xyz or whatever back into the extra deck. It's the only card that lets you do that. Calm doesn't let you recycle the Synchros. This does. So it's a really good card, and I always like to have it, except at the very beginning. So like I said, that's why I only play one. And the last spell of the deck is 1 Soul Charge. This card's pretty much broken. Augustos, in a way, really want the battle phase, but we don't need it in order to make big plays. So Soul Charge it's just too good in a deck that can synchro summon a lot. So that's where that comes in. And even so, like, you can just Soul Charge for 2 monsters and give yourself a good play. So that is how that card works. And onto the traps. I play for monster summons. We have 1 Solemn Warning, 1 Torrential, 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, and 1 Trap Tricks Trap Hole Nightmare. So this is what I play to usually use on monster summons. This card can be used a little bit later in the turn, I guess. I mean, your opponent has to activate the monster's effect the turn of a special summon, so that's why I group it with these. So these are all really good. They help out a lot. And the next 2 cards I play are 2 Breakthrough Skill. I opted out of playing the Fiendish Chains in favor of 2 Breakthrough Skills just because I wanted to have that ability to reuse this card if my opponent blows it away, because I had too many times where my opponent would destroy my Fiendish Chain before I could do anything with it. So I'm trying out the 2 Breakthrough Skills just to see if that ends up working a little better. Plus, this is nice because if you do use this on a Lightsworn card or on Curry Bandit or something like that, it does negate the effect throughout the entire turn. So even in the end phase, they can't do whatever effect they were trying to do. So that's good for this deck. And just like I said, being able to activate this card from the graveyard is really nice because if I remember correctly, I could be wrong about this, you can still use this while Decree is up. So you can banish it, because I believe Decree is red, that it only negates trap cards on the field. And if you activate this from the graveyard, then I think you're okay. But don't quote me on that. I'd have to double check. So then I also play 2-Dimensional Prison. The card's super good in way too many matchups. And then I have 1 Mirror Force. So I took out a second Mirror Force just because the hands, it's just not so useful against them. And the 2-Dimensional Prison is much, much better. I actually thought about playing a 3rd-Dimensional Prison, but I wasn't exactly sure what to take out. I mean, you could maybe take this out, but I feel like this card is too good to not play at least one of. But I guess you can just decide on your own if you guys want to play the 3 and not play this, and you can let me know how it works if you desire to do so. I play 1 Wiretap, just negate trap cards. It's too strong. And the last trap of the deck is 2 Call of the Haunted. This card is super good in this deck. You can revive Pitika, get her effect on your opponent's turn, and then be able to do stuff on your turn with her, so you can get her effect essentially twice in a row. It's really, really good. You can, if you have a Thunderking in grave, your opponent goes to activate a search card, You call the Haunted him back, negate it. Well, you don't really negate it, I guess. It fizzles out, but whatever. So that's really good. You can call into your calm. The card gives you way too many. It just gives you access to so many good plays. It's kind of ridiculous. The card's just really good in this deck. I've thought about playing 3, but I've tried playing 3 Call of the Haunted in decks in the past, and any time I've played 3 Call of the Haunted, it just ends up clogging for me. I don't know why. That's just my luck, I guess. But if you guys want to try 3, if that works out for you, definitely do it, because this is a really good card. So that is all for the main deck. Now I'll move into the extra deck real fast. So as for the synchros, I play for level 3, 1 Mist Bird Colossalus. What this card does is, once per turn you can target a face-up monster your opponent controls, its attack becomes 0 and its effects are negated, and it lasts until the end of the turn. So you just summon it in defense mode and activate its effect, and allows you to pretty much get rid of anything, any problem card. It's a really great level 3 synchro. And you'll notice that most of the cards in this extra deck are wind because of Pitika's effect. So then I play 1 Daigusto Falcos. The effect of this card doesn't matter a whole lot, but its effect is when it's synchro summon all Augusto monsters on the field gain 600 attack. So it's really good, but essentially you just want to go Pitika into Eagle, and then you synchro for Falcos, and then you find some way to get a Calm on board, and you go Calm's effect, shuffle 2, draw a card, and then you overlay these 2. So that's typically how that play ends up going. For 5s, I play 1 Armades, Keeper of Boundaries. This card's super good, especially this format. Well, I guess I shouldn't say this format because it's a new format still, but we'll see how much things change. It's just really good. It deals with the hands, deals with just a bunch of cards, Gear Armor, sorry. Pretty much anything that activates before the end of the damage step, so super good. It's really great to make Armades, or any of the 5s actually, off of flipping a Kamui when your opponent hasn't attacked it. And then I have 1 TG Hyper Librarian. Pretty obvious, just lets you set up for bigger synchro plays later down the line. For now, I'm playing 2 Augusto Goldos, Daigusto Goldos. This card allows you to, it's kind of like Contact with Gusto. You return 2 Gustos from the grave into the main deck, and then you select 1 face-up monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So it's a little more limited, but it does allow you to destroy virtually any monster your opponent's side of the field, so it's pretty good. However, whenever I get my Goyo Guardian, I'll probably take one of these out for it, because that card's too broken to not play. For 6s, I have 2 Daigustos Freeze. This card is, along with Pitika, kind of what makes the deck. This card is really, really good. And it also gives the deck kind of an alternate win condition. So what it does, when it's synchro summoned, it allows you to add a Gusto card in your graveyard and put it back to your hand. So you can even actually put a synchro back in the extra deck with this. So sometimes if you've already made one freeze, you special the other, and then you can put the other one back in, so you can make it again if it comes down to it. The rest of its effect, however, is that your opponent takes any battle damage you would have taken from battles involving face-up Gusto monsters you control, and it cannot be destroyed by battle. So it's really good, because if you have a freeze plus you end up having to have, usually it's best to have a Goldo. If your opponent has a big enough monster, you can win. It's an OTK right then and there, because you just have Goldo or any of your other small monsters ram into your opponent's big monster. Your opponent takes all the damage, and they just keep replacing themselves. And then if you need that final push, Freeze can attack herself, and then she can't be destroyed by battle. So combos are really good with Freeze, and just really good to OTK, especially if your opponent starts a first turn Beals Stardust field. I had a first turn Beals, Stardust, and double Evolval Chain, which was not cool, but I ended up being able to just go into Freeze and win, because Beals just keeps getting bigger after he destroys stuff, so it doesn't even matter. For 7s, I play 1 Daigusto Eagles. This card, once per turn to your end phase, you can banish a wind monster from your graveyard to target 1 face down card your opponent controls and destroy it. So it's really good, just helps you start eliminating set cards. If you don't want to attack, you can do that. So it's a pretty good card. Has 2600 attack. And then of course we play Black Rose Dragon, because it allows you to destroy the whole field. For 8s, I play just the Stardust Dragon. It's just really good, and it's Wind, so it makes it significantly easier to make with Pitika. And for Xyz, I play, as far as rank 4s, 1/101 Silent Honor Arc and Lightning Chidori. This will come out actually when Duelist Alliance hits, most likely, because it's a water, so it makes it a little harder to make. Because like I said, usually the only time you're going to be going into the rank 4s is when you're making the Pitika into Falcos plus Calm play. It's not very likely, so that's probably why this will come out. But in Duelist Alliance, there's a new monster called Castel, the Avian Sky Blaster, or something like that. He's pretty good, so I'll be playing him instead of 101, I believe. Lightning Chidori is just amazing in any Wind deck, of course, and it doesn't change with Gustos. And then the last monsters of the deck are the rank 3s. We play 1 Levier. It allows you to just get back your banished monsters. One thing that's really good about Levier is you can combo it with this card. So you can like banish a Calm, destroy your opponent's set card, and then the next turn Levier, detach, special to Calm, Calm's effect, return 2 from the graveyard of the deck, draw a card. It just allows you to plus a lot with these two together, so it's really good. And the last monster from the extra deck is Totem Bird. This is a fantastic card. It is kind of like a mini Logia. During either player's turn, when a spell or trap is activated, you detach both the materials and negate it and destroy it. So it has to be made with 2 level 3 winds, but that's obviously not a problem because you can summon Pitika, get her effect, special in Goldo, and then just overlay them for the Totem Bird. So it's really easy to summon. And it's the latter part of its effect says that if it has no exceeds materials, it loses 300, so goes on a 1600 attack. But 1900 attack's really good. It's a really solid card, especially comboing Totem Bird plus either Armades, which is the more likely play, or a Stardust. So I mean, if you could get all 3 of these out on the field, you're gonna be in super good shape. But I very rarely will do that. I think I've done this field once, and immediately as soon as I made the Stardust, my opponent pretty much admitted defeat just right then and there. So that is the deck profile. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Leave a comment letting me know what you think. If you like the Gusto deck, I'm going to be playing it for a while. I'm going to stick with this deck as well as Heroes. Those will probably be my 2 main decks. This deck's just really fun to play, and I really enjoy it. So with that, I will catch you guys later.